What's up guys, my name is Alvaro Moreira from Particle School, and in this 5 minutes tutorial I'll show you some very important points about MP-Glue, and I'm sure it will make you understand it a bit better. So let's get started. The MP-Glue, like all the other MP tests, must be below the MP word. In this case, I know that the distance between my particles are 10, so I'll use a binding distance of 10, and I will check the Visualize Binding checkbox. And now, as you can see, we can't see our bindings here. In order to make it work, you just have to go to the second frame and get back to the first one, and now your bindings are visible. You have three types of binding types. The rigid and simplified ones are just the same. The simplified is just a simplified version of the rigid. And both of them are used to create rigid bindings. If your bindings are not rigid enough, you can just increase the subframe factor here, and it will work fine. The distance binding type creates flexible bindings. It's very useful to create stuff like cloth. And as you can see, all the binding types have its own menu, like the distance binding, the rigid binding rollout, and the simplified binding rollout. These rollouts are only useful when you're using the specified binding type. Like the distance binding rollout will be useless if you're working with a rigid binding type, for example, or a simplified one. And with the distance binding type, you'll be able to control how much your particles binding will stretch and how much they will contract with the minimum distance. You also have the enable spring force, which will create a spring effect between your bindings. As you can see, you need to use really high values here, like 1,000 or even 10,000. The damper coefficient will make the spring force stop eventually. Without this, it will keep wobbling forever. And as soon as you enable this enable spring force option, the maximum distance limit and the minimum distance limit become useless. Let's get back to the rigid binding, and let's see how the breakability by force works. You need to use really high values here. As you can see, it's already breaking only with the force of the gravity. So let's put 500,000 here on the max force and 500,000 here on the max torque. Now it's okay. Let's unhide our linear here. This linear is just a cylinder here that will put here on the MP collision, and then it will be used to break our bindings. And the max force works with a linear force, just like what's happening here. And the max torque is used to control the breakability of a twisted force. Let's hide this one and let's remove it from here. And that's it. If you think it was a useful tutorial, please don't forget to like the video and follow us on Vimeo or subscribe to our YouTube account, because this way you really support us. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.